The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Jakara's translator device stuttered, struggling to process what the human had just said. "I'm sorry," Jakara clicked, her mandibles twitching in confusion. "Could you repeat that?" Dr. Sarah Chen stood before the assembled representatives of 47 species, her hands clasped behind her back. The weight of what she was about to reveal pressed against her chest, but her voice remained steady. "Humanity didn't evolve on Earth. We were sent there." Council member Vrex of the Talinari Dominion let out a barking laugh. "Preposterous. Your species has been thoroughly studied. Your DNA matches Earth's evolutionary tree perfectly." "Because we designed it that way," Sarah replied. She nodded to her assistant, who activated the holographic display. Ancient star charts bloomed into existence above the council floor, showing stellar positions from millions of years past. 3.7 million years ago, a catastrophic war consumed this galaxy. Our ancestors, the original humans, were its architects and its victims. The chamber erupted in protests and incredulous chirps. Sarah waited for the translators to catch up, watching the confusion ripple across alien faces. She had practiced this moment 1,000 times, knowing that what came next would shatter their understanding of galactic history. "The precursors," whispered Arch-Curator Melindra of the Archival Collective, her crystalline form pulsing with agitation. "You're claiming humans are the precursors?" Sarah shook her head. "Not claiming. Proving." She expanded the hologram and ruins appeared. Structures the Council had studied for millennia, ancient installations scattered across 100 worlds. "For centuries you've wondered why precursor architecture seems so ergonomic. Why their doorways stand at an average of 2 meters. Why their control interfaces require 5 digits to operate optimally." The implications settled over the Council like a shroud. Jakara's 4 eyes blinked in asynchronous patterns, a sign of deep distress among her people. "The war was called the Unraveling," Sarah continued. "Our ancestors had achieved technological apotheosis. They could manipulate space-time, engineer stars, seed consciousness itself. But power without wisdom led to faction, and faction led to annihilation. In the final days, when they realized the galaxy would be left barren, the surviving human factions made a choice." She pulled up genetic data streams, archaeological evidence, mathematical proofs that had taken humanity's best minds decades to compile after the discovery in the Kepler excavations. "They seeded the galaxy with new life. Your species, all of you. They terraformed dead worlds, encoded the building blocks of civilization into your genetic memory, and set you on paths to sentience. Then they performed the most remarkable act of sacrifice in galactic history. They unmade themselves," Melindra whispered, her voice barely audible through the translator. "Not entirely," Sarah corrected. "A remnant chose to start over, to forget. They selected a remote world and an unremarkable star system, and stripped themselves of everything that made them powerful. Their technology, their knowledge, their very enhancements. They rewrote their own DNA to match the native life, creating an evolutionary backstory that would survive any scientific scrutiny. They condemned themselves and their descendants to millennia of ignorance and struggle, all to ensure that when they eventually returned to the stars, they would do so having learned humility through hardship." Frex stood abruptly, his scales flushing with agitation. "This is fantasy." "Where is your proof?" Sarah's expression hardened. "The mathematical constant in precursor power systems, you call it the prime harmonic. Humanity discovered it independently 300 years ago. We call it Planck's constant. The precursor written language that you've never been able to fully translate. Show me any sample and I'll read it. It's Proto-Indo-European, the root of dozens of human languages preserved in our myths and ancient texts." She pulled up comparison after comparison. The precursor-based 10 mathematical system, their circadian rhythms matching Earth's 24-hour day. The chemical composition of their atmosphere maintenance systems perfectly suited to human respiration. The evidence was overwhelming, each piece small enough to dismiss individually but collectively undeniable. "The Kepler archive contained the final message," Sarah said quietly. "Written by the last council, the humans who made this choice. They knew some of their descendants might one day return to space before being ready, might repeat the old mistakes, so they left instructions, locked behind genetic keys that only baseline humanity could unlock." She paused, making eye contact with as many council members as she could. "They left us a warning. about the dangers of rapid technological expansion without ethical evolution, about the responsibility of power, about the loneliness of supremacy and the necessity of equals. Jakara's voice cracked through the translator. Why reveal this now? Because you were about to make the same mistakes we did, Sarah said simply. The Dominion and the Collective are on the brink of war. We've watched the patterns emerging: territorial expansion, resource hoarding, the gradual dehumanization of the other. We've seen this dance before, written in our oldest instincts, and we know where it leads. She deactivated the hologram, standing in the chamber's natural light. Humanity spent 3 million years clawing our way back from self-imposed ignorance. We lived through ice ages and plagues, through wars and dark ages, through every horror our ancient selves hoped would teach us wisdom. And now we return to a galaxy on the brink of repeating our greatest tragedy. What do you want from us? Melindra asked. Nothing, Sarah replied. We're not here to rule or guide. We're here as equals who've made terrible mistakes and learned from them. We're here to offer perspective, to show you that the cycle can be broken, that power and peace aren't mutually exclusive, that the true measure of an advanced civilization isn't what it can destroy, but what it chooses to build. The silence that followed was different from before, contemplative rather than shocked. Sarah could see the calculations behind alien eyes, the reassessment of human motivations and capabilities. The last council's final words were these, Sarah said softly. We were the first, but we need not be the best. We were the elders, but we choose to become students. We were gods who remembered how to be mortal. May those who come after us do better. She smiled sadly at the assembled representatives. So here we are. Children of the precursors returned home hoping our younger siblings might be wiser than we were. Will you let us help you avoid our mistakes? The vote would come later, Sarah knew. But as she watched understanding dawn across 47 different species, she felt the weight of 3 million years begin, finally, to lift.